All other lies exposed, Israel resorts to the brute caricature to sell their genocide in Gaza. There's a long history of the brute caricature. The mad brute, he dates back to our pre our involvement in World War I. That was the brute caricature being used to motivate mainly white males in the United States to support our involvement in the European War. And of course, we have what came from the 40s and the 50s, the brute caricature that dealt with the fear of mainly white men losing the white women to African Americans. The brute caricature has been something that's been implemented over the centuries, and probably longer than that, going back longer than that. There's a good article, it's from the Jim Crow Center, that details this, and that's where these two images on the side come from. I included that version, the Hun version from World War I, pre-World War I. Israel demands destroy this mad brute by racism and lies. Thou shalt do war. And that is their fucking modus operandi, and has been for quite some time. Good morning. How you doing? Today is Wednesday, I believe. It is the 6th day of December, 2023. It is bright and early at 9:18 or 9:18. Dyslexic. 8:19 in the morning. Let me show you the where I got the this is the Jim Crow Museum. Witness, understand, and heal. Brute caricature portrays black men as innately savage, animalistic, destructive, and criminal, deserving punishment, maybe even death. Let me ask you a question. Has anybody heard that kind of language being used to describe the Palestinians and Hamas? Brutish, animalistic, deserving of punishment and death. And now, of course, the latest round of unsubstantiated propaganda involves the evil brutes making off with the white women. This is, at its core, racist. And for those who buy into it, they are deliberately playing on a instinct that is buried down deep within certain people, within all people, really. Tribalism is instinctual. It is not something that is unnatural. However, feeding into it and not working to oppose it, not working to put it down and say, you know what, we live in a different world now. But, tribalism existed. It was an instinct within us for a reason. Back in the day, it is no longer that important. However, it's there, and it's something that's being utilized by Israel in a last-ditch effort to try to sway certain people, males mostly, white certainly, some white females, to support their fucking bombing of Palestinian children and people in Gaza. the largest concentration camp ever. That's all it is. That's what it is across the board, bar none, finito. Now, I'm going to show you some links, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of information in terms of support and just evidence that shows you that this is baseless. These claims are baseless. There are tons of reasons to understand that these claims are baseless. Some come right from the fucking investigators in Israel themselves. Some come from common sense. For example, there are all these people. No actual victims have come forward and said, I was raped. And the investigators in Israel will tell you that, have told you that from the beginning. And in fact, there really are no forensic investigations that took place post-mortem that determined there were rapes in the bodies, on the bodies. And that's also undeniable. You have a few witnesses out here who said there were forensic but there's no actual documented proof. There's no documented proof, which is why you have so many people online who are apologists for the Nazi regime in fucking Israel, who are screeching that the Me Too movement, everyone must believe every woman no matter what. Why can't you believe Israeli women? It must be anti-Semitism. And so they're trying to shame people with the anti-Semitism accusation in order to claim that they believe these women who aren't the women who said that there are none coming out saying they were raped. There are people saying they saw something, but they're not saying they were raped. The Me Too movement, the believe every woman thing, is about believing women when they say they were raped. There is no such animal involved in this one. It's all, I saw this, I saw that, why won't you believe me? Here's one reason. Many of these horrific, god-awful, like babies in the oven, which, by the way, didn't happen. Like babies hanging from a fucking clothesline, by the way, didn't happen. Like children bound together and set on fire, by the way, didn't happen. Like the 40 beheaded babies, which didn't happen. You don't believe me? Go look up all that shit on Haaretz, an Israeli fucking newspaper that did the investigation. In fact, Haaretz also did a very careful analysis of every person who was killed on October the 7th. One infant who was not beheaded and was most likely killed by the automatic gunfire coming from the top of a tank, an Israeli tank, while the kid was being held by its mother, who was also, by the way, killed. Now, all of this stuff, bullshit. The command center under the hospital, bullshit. The 6 fucking duffel bags carried in by the IDF after they taped up the fucking video cameras, bullshit. Everything is bullshit. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. Now we got this. Believe us, because it's women. And because deep down at the core of you, you're just as racist as the fucking Israelis who made up the bullshit story. It's the brute caricature, boys and girls. That's how low they've sunk. Let me ask you this. All of these horrific fucking things that they've said, oh my God, the woman, she was mass raped, and then they cut off her breasts and threw them out in the street and were playing hacky sack with them, and then they killed her. Broken pelvises from mass rapes. semen on their backs. All of these things that they claim they saw, oddly enough, work discovered by the people doing the forensic investigation and the post-mortem of these bodies. Because, and we know that why, A, they're not listed in any of the forensic investigations, and B, because had someone seen somebody with clearly broken hips and semen all over their back, they probably would have done some kind of forensic investigation. Since they didn't, we can, using common sense, come to the conclusion that they didn't feel there was any evidence there had been sexual assault. It's just that fucking simple. Let's talk about some of this. Oh, by the way, as you notice here, where's my picture? I censored for YouTube. I'm back on YouTube. It's been 7 days. My last video has no thumbnail because they gave me a strike because they took down the thumbnail. It portrayed, it was an old fucking Donald Trump image caricature political cartoon getting his ass kissed by Mitt Romney. And they said that was sexually graphic, some shit. It wasn't. It's a fucking cartoon of a guy kissing another guy's ass because he has to apologize. But then it occurred to me, maybe the reason they took it down was not because it was sexually graphic and not because I had put a picture of Bibi Netanyahu and a picture of who was kissing his ass. Somebody was kissing his ass. Elon Musk. Not because of that. I think it was taken down because the whole you got to kiss his ass thing, the whole thing about apologizing and make someone kiss their ass is demeaning. And it's demeaning because, and I think this is part of why they took it down. If you got to kiss a woman's ass, because you got to apologize and kiss her, that has a very different connotation to it. A man kissing another man's ass, that's demeaning. But then there's the whole, is that homophobic in and of itself? So what's wrong with kissing a man's ass is the answer. I don't know. But I get the feeling that's probably why it actually had to come down. They left the video up, but they took the thumbnail down and gave me a strike. So anyway, I'm back. And anyway, just to spite fucking YouTube, which will probably get me another strike for this one, I went ahead and censored even cleavage. That wasn't even, the one on the left wasn't even, the Don Tracy one wasn't even fucking breasts. It was just cleavage. But I think maybe it had more to do with that than it did with, because it certainly wasn't sexual. At least not to some of the male population. It wasn't. I'll post a link to this, but it's linked to in one of these articles here. This is a good breakdown of what the brute caricature, how it developed, how it's used. Black brutes are depicted as hideous, terrifying predators who target helpless victims, especially white women. This is, you just take out fucking, the black brute and you put in the Hamas brute or the Palestinian brute or the Arab brute, and it's the same shit. It's the same racist shit. And that's what it is, boys and girls. This is how low they have fucking sunk. Just so you know, this is the video that was that's what I put up today. This is the video with no thing on there. That's yesterday's video. Okay. Let's talk about this. Mondo Weiss. This was last week, November something. When was this? That's December 1st. This is the new one. There's an older one. Maybe it's always been December 1st. I thought it was older. I thought this one was older, but it's not. It's December 1st. That's good. CNN report claiming sexual violence on October the 7th relied on non-credible witnesses, some with undisclosed ties to the Israeli government. Oh, here he is. Oh, there he is. Oh, it goes back to a November 18th fucking CNN video. Israeli police investigate claims of sexual violence on October the 7th. Look at that. He's doing his serious face. He's doing his serious face. There's no author on this because it's a guest article from somebody inside Palestine, and they don't want to be black-bagged by the Israelis and kept in a Israeli prison for the next 10 years, which happens. On November the 18th, 2023, CNN aired a report by journalist Jake Tapper. The report claims to provide testimonies on rape crimes against Israeli women that allegedly took place on October 7th, 2023. Within a few hours of publication of the CNN report, an international media campaign by Israel and pro-Israeli groups was launched. They had their coming out party on CNN. And as soon as they came out, they were ready to go, hit the ground running. Other media outlets, including the Washington Post, based their reporting on CNN's reporting. Feminist activists and groups who have been calling for a ceasefire in Gaza were also targeted as part of the campaign. How dare you say we stop bombing fucking kids in Gaza? Don't you know? What about the white women? That's literally what they fucking did. Feminist activists and groups who have been calling for a ceasefire in Gaza were also targeted as part of this campaign. Samantha Pearson, the director of the Sexual Assault Center at the University of Alberta in Canada, was fired from her job a few hours after the airing of the report. She had signed a letter on October 25th that stated that the accusations that Palestinians were guilty of sexual violence remains unverified. The letter did not say that sexual violence did not occur, but that there was no sufficient evidence yet to support the accusations. She had to go. They only give a shit about the white women as long as they're on their side. I don't know what color Samantha is based on her name, I'm guessing. The CNN report presents a serious breach of professional conduct, which we detail in this piece. The most concerning aspect of this report is the fact that every single witness and expert in the CNN report proves to be either lacking in credibility or have ties to the Israeli government officials and institutions. A deeper examination of the CNN report shows a series of manipulations and professional failures, including the fact that all witnesses that CNN claims to have quote-unquote found were featured in previous reports pitched and coordinated by the Israeli government, calling into question how much original reporting or fact-finding went into the CNN report. CNN's failure to adhere to professional and ethical standards of responsible journalism also raises questions regarding CNN's possible complicity with a political campaign orchestrated by the Israeli Prime Minister's office to perpetuate unverified claims of mass rape, and a larger effort to dehumanize Palestinians in order to justify the ongoing genocidal campaign in fucking Gaza. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what I am talking about. That is exactly what I'm saying. All other lies being exposed, Israel resorts to the brute caricature to sell genocide in Gaza. It is the lowest hanging fruit. It is when somebody gets into an argument or into a debate and they're losing, out comes the fucking victim card, or out comes the race card, or out comes the race victim card. That's what I'm talking about. There will be a link to this article here on my website. You can go down and click on this and go to this, Mondo Weiss, and it'll take you here. So I'm going to close this now. Outstanding piece from Mondo Weiss. When she said that there isn't enough evidence as of yet, that's exactly what fucking David Katz said. Who is David Katz? He's a fucking officer, one of the ones in charge of investigating the reports of sexual violence. He is on the Lahav 433 unit, and they are actually investigating this shit. And what does he say? We have no living victims who said we have been raped, but we have multiple witnesses for several cases. Witnesses, second-hand fucking testimony, but nobody coming forward saying they were raped. And of course, nothing in terms of actual forensic evidence. And this, of course, comes from Something News, ABC. I think that's not ABC as in the United States. I think that's ABC as in. Here is an article from Electronic Intifada. And I want to play a little bit of this for you. You can also find this on my website here, including the video. However, I recommend, if you can, go by them, give them a view. But I want you to have a listen to the first 3 minutes of this. And they talk about, this is where they mention the Jim Crow Museum and the long-standing brute caricature portrays black men as innately savage, animalistic, destructive, and criminal, deserving of punishment, maybe even death. Oh God, they touched the white woman. I'm going to play a little bit of this for you. The first 3 minutes, I strongly recommend you go and listen to this. It's a panel discussion with a bunch of people talking about what's happening and this media blitz by Joe Biden, who's still, by the way, Joe Biden is still pushing the 40 beheaded baby story because he's just fucking dementia Joe. He's still pushing that. And of course, now he's pushing the, oh my God, everybody was raped anally story. No, there's no evidence of it. There's no evidence. And in fact, as one of the articles points out, I think it was the Mondo Weiss one, there are discrepancies between statements taken right after it, between soldiers who came into a scene and people who said, oh, I saw these two babies. And it was like, one was 9 and one was like 12 or something, and they were, yeah, that word, yeah. And I've already used it, so YouTube's going to fuck me anyway, but it turns out, and he said, oh, I saw them side by side, and they were both, you know, turns out there was no evidence that these two individuals, and in fact, the two individuals weren't found side by side, so unless that witness picked one of them up and carried him across the fucking kibbutz and put him someplace else, that story's bullshit. They just take a little bit of information, throw it out there, write it down, the fucking IDF guys and the Mossad guys, and give it to him, the actor, to say he was there. There's another one who claims that he was somebody who was there, but then, and he witnessed the rapage. Turns out he had already posted on social media, oh, thank goodness I wasn't there. I was all the way over here 2 towns over when the attack happened. So he just lied. He just committed fucking perjury, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let me just also say this quickly about perjury, about why people get away with doing shit like this. Michael Rappaport just makes me sick. I don't know if you guys know him. I did a video on him. You can go to my YouTube channel and you can look there and see the fucking video I did on that miserable piece of fucking talentless shit. That fucking hack. His whole spiel, his whole LARPer fucking gig is being that loudmouth, in-your-face New Yorker, and he thinks, by doing that on TV, that's the character he's created. About anything, sports, anything. He's just a talentless hack whose main talent now, if you want to call it that, is being a celebrity. Putting his face in front of a camera and being that loudmouth fucking New Yorker. Well, the other day, 2 weeks ago, he was feeling himself. He was all in his fucking feels. And he was pissed off and telling people, if you don't support Israel, the Jews in America are going to put you on a list. Stop it, Gabby. The Jews in America are going to put you on a list. And we're going to put you on a list. And when you come up, it's fine now. You think everything's fine now. And we're smiling into your face. But you're on that list. When we get a chance, we're going to stick you in the back. And I said how fucking obscene that was. For Jewish people to be portrayed in such a way. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about Jews. He doesn't care about Israel. He cares about himself. And it occurred to me when I was getting ready to make this video and I was doing the research on this video, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I missed it? That miserable rat fuck just told you why he's doing this. He just told you why he's doing this. Because if the people, the big Jewish, because he's not loaning anybody any fucking money, he's talking about them. If he thinks they're making lists of people they'll punish, I guess he assumes they're making lists on people they'll reward. Isn't that right? He thinks that if he's stands firm and stands with glorious IDF and Bibi Netanyahu and bombing children in fucking Gaza, then eventually he'll be rewarded by these people up top, these network executives, and they'll give him a goddamn show. That's what he thinks. The miserable rat fuck that he is. What a piece of shit. What a piece of shit. And a whole bunch of fucking American Jewish people are thrown under the bus by this guy because now everybody thinks, well, he said it. You guys are keeping lists. You want to stab us in the back and smile in front of our face? And they're like, we don't really do that. What a miserable piece of shit he is. Anyway, I just thought I'd tell you that. Let's play a little bit of this for you.
Viewers and listeners, that we're going to be talking about sexual assault, so please take appropriate caution.
I should have given you that warning.
Ali, you've been looking at a disturbing set of allegations Israel has been making regarding mass sexual assault and rape by Hamas fighters on October 7th. I understand there are some new developments around that could help provide a framework for people to understand what they're being fed by corporate media and the Israeli government. What do we know, and what are you looking at right now?
Yeah, there's some really nasty stuff circulating, and I really want to break it down for people who are watching. First, I mean, let's just remind people, we've talked quite a few times over the last few weeks about all the lies and deceptions surrounding what happened on and after October 7th. And from the very start, Israel and its supporters have spread really inflammatory lies. You'll recall the infamous tale of the 40 beheaded babies. That was a horrific lie that President Biden keeps repeating, despite advice from his own staff that there was actually no evidence for it. And in fact, there is no evidence for it. It's a lie. And indeed, according to Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, only one baby was killed on October 7th. And as you can see here from the journalist Muhammad Shahade, he's pointing to a very recent Haaretz story over the weekend, debunking some of these early, what he calls iconic horror stories from October 7th.
So this is what I was talking about. Last week, Haaretz came out with this, and I mentioned it before, with this in-depth article, finally debunking all of this bullshit, these bullshit fucking stories. They were just, so rather than the fucking propagandists and the apologists and the Mossad guys stepping back with their tail between the legs, being exposed as fucking liars and making shit up in order to fucking continue, in order to get support from the United States, because the United States is the only nation that matters to them. When support from you and I is done, they are done, and they know it. The only reason the rest of the world hasn't stopped them is because of the big bully on the block, us. So when they were exposed by their own fucking publication, Haaretz in fucking Israel, in Tel Aviv, for all these lies, what do? Do they fucking, no, they double down. When you find yourself dug down into a fucking hole, sometimes the only way is to dig fucking deeper. The only way out is to fucking dig deeper. And that's exactly what they've done. And that's exactly what this is. Some of us a long time ago, not for old people like myself, but for young people, back in 2002, oh my God, they got yellow cake from Niger. Turns out that was a fucking lie. Oh my God, they were working with fucking Al-Qaeda. Turns out that was a lie. Oh my God, they did 9/11. Oh my God, that was a fucking lie. Oh my God, they got weapons of mass destruction. That was a fucking lie. Don't let the fucking smoking gun be a mushroom cloud. That was a fucking lie. Lie after lie after lie after lie. And when the last one was fucking exposed as a lie to justify us bombing the shit out of fucking Iraq for nothing, killing 1 million people in the original, shock and awe, eventually, they just kept digging deeper and deeper and deeper and they said, freedom and democracy. Fuck with that one. And the bombs came down. That's what they do. Sometimes when you find yourself in a hole, the only way out is down. And that's what they did. That's what they did. Because the brute caricature is the lowest of the low. Let's just throw out that let's be racist card. It's not the racism card. I guess it is. They're throwing down the racism card, but they're not saying that as a defense. Oh my God, you're racist. No, they're throwing down the racism card saying, let's get racist. That is literally what they are fucking doing. Let's touch on the racism in you so you will say nothing about us bombing the fuck out of children. That is literally what Israel's doing. And it is obscene.
The 40 beheaded babies. There was also a story of a baby burned in an oven, a pregnant woman's stomach opened and her fetus removed, children bound together and burned, and a pregnant hostage giving birth. Many of these atrocity stories people will have heard, and they were circulated not just by media and pro-Israel people on social media, but also by the Israeli government itself. And now Haaretz is admitting that many of them were fake, and it's actually tracing how these fake stories made it into the into the mainstream. So that's just some context.
Okay. I strongly recommend you go and watch this. Again, I've got the article. I've got the article here, just the first part of it. If you want to read the rest of it, that link doesn't go to my stuff. It goes to Electronic Intifada. And here's the video. Again, I send you here because it's easier for me. There are no ads. I don't get any money out of this, so it's not about the fucking money. Aunt BB sent me some information on what's happening with this campaign now. And she sent me some links to posts. I'm not signed in on Twitter on this fucking computer, so I can't really open them up, but I can show you. Mint Press News has an interesting article here, or an interesting investigation here, talking about Kakev, whatever, Likiam Levy, the chair of Israel's investigative committee into the rape on 10/7 by Hamas, presented an old photograph depicting deceased female Kurdish fighters, falsely portraying them as victims of sexual assault at the Nova Music Festival. This has happened multiple times. Multiple times. I remember a video that came out very early on showing a young woman on a street being set on fire and somebody spraying some more fucking lighter fluid on her. And it was awful. Oh my God. It's a cobblestone road. And there were peasant people with like shopping bags and shit standing on the side going, oh my God, someone help her. It was clearly, they said it was the fucking music festival and they said it was Hamas who did it. It was from 2015. And it took about 3 minutes for the interwebs to expose that fucking lie, which is why they are bringing people in to show them their evidence in secret, and they're taking their fucking recording devices away from them in order to bring them in to see the evidence, because as soon as that quote unquote evidence hits the fucking streets, so to speak, its original source will be instantly fucking discovered. It doesn't take 30 seconds to do a Google background check or reverse check on a fucking image. That's what they're doing. It's just more lies. Now thank you on BB for that one. And there's another one that came from this. This is a Reddit post, and I was able to find the Blumenthal thing through the Reddit post. This is another of their fucking key voices for the BBC's voice here, and is talking about the rape of the women's, pushing the fucking. Now this is great. This is why I saved this for last. This is why I saved this for last. This is why I saved this for last. The brute caricature. A key individual who was used by the BBC to push this idea, this thing that the brutes, the fucking, as they call them, the quote-unquote orcs on the other side of the fence, the Palestinians coming across, raping all the white women, which is clearly this. The person doing it, the big person doing it, was someone named May Golan. She's a communist thug who led an anti-black race riot in Tel Aviv before she was appointed Israel's Minister of Women's Empowerment. She claims she's proud to be a racist at one of these fascist rallies she led. And now here she is talking about all this stuff being done by the brute caricatures to the Israeli women. I will post a link to this and you can watch the video yourself here. I don't want to play it because the bitch is, she turns my stomach. Okay? This is without a doubt, their last-ditch effort to try to find somebody, anybody. Let's get the racists on our side. This is them trying any fucking thing they can. Bibi Netanyahu went before the fucking Benjamin Netanyahu went before the United Nations and said, why the heck won't you support us? Why won't you support our women? We're telling you these stories. It must be because you all hate Jewish people. No, it's because you have no evidence and you've been caught with telling a number of fucking lies thus far. I count 8 off the top of my head. Just since October the 7th. Not to mention all the lies he was caught telling, which is why he's under investigation for fraud and criminal charges are pending as soon as they get him out of office, which is another reason why he wants to bomb the fuck out of Gaza and keep bombing Gaza, because he knows he can't be fucking removed while there's a war on. He's a wartime prime minister. He is doing everything he can, even reaching out and grabbing the racist fruit and tossing the racist fruit out there. There is absolutely, this is without a doubt the lowest form of propaganda. And it has been, we don't even, back during, the Vietnam days, we allowed our fucking drill sergeants, in fact, it was part of the fucking dehumanization of the enemy. Racism was part of the fucking training. They're not human. Go over there and shoot them in the head, it's not a human. Go over there and shoot them in the head, they're a Hun. Go over there and shoot them in the head before they get to the white women. They did that shit. They don't allow that. They don't allow that shit in the military nowadays. They don't. Now, of course, we haven't really, Iraq. I'm sure there were some racial slurs tossed out there by a few fucking drill sergeants. However, it's not policy. It's not something that they are proud of and that they promote. And it's something that they certainly want to get away from. That's not necessary. Besides, you can turn somebody into a fucking avid goddamn racist all day long. He's ready to go. He's all gung-ho. You drop his ass in the fucking jungle in Vietnam. He shits on himself. He throws his hands up in the air and he gets shot in 15 minutes. So it didn't work. It is an innate instinct, tribalism, but it is one that is, there are tons of instincts, like our fucking tails we used to have. There are tons of instincts. They just found no fucking use. We have no use for them anymore, unless you want to just live in that shit and that hate, like Bibi Netanyahu and the Zionists. Unless you want to live in that hate because it turns a profit for you. Or unless you want to live in that hate because you think somehow or another tapping into it might keep your ass from being prosecuted, Mr. Netanyahu. But it is clearly what is at the fucking heart of these unsubstantiated rape accusations. Hamas themselves came out and said, this is nothing. We did not do this. We did not tell our people this. We told our people to go in there and kill IDF and kill, if the settler guys attack you, then certainly fight and kill them. But we didn't tell them to go in there and kill civilians. We didn't tell them to go in there. We told them we needed hostages, IDF guys or others, that we could use later to negotiate ceasefires. They didn't tell them to go in there and rape people. That's ridiculous. Hamas did say we weren't the only ones there. Islamic Jihad was there, and there were other fighting groups, resistance groups that were there. But to their knowledge, they don't think that they don't know that they don't think that. Who the hell has time to start raping people when fucking Israeli tanks are pulling up on the goddamn place and opening up with shells and fucking 50 caliber machine guns. Hang on a second. Ain't no one got time for that shit. This is fucking. Let me explain one more thing to you. The fucking, I think it's defense minister or the propaganda minister or the bullshit minister from fucking Israel, from the IDF, came out and said in some fucking speech, maybe to the UN, live via satellite, this is not about just us against Hamas. This is about Western civilization and the fight for Western civilization. And if we lose against Hamas, all of Western civilization falls. Let me tell you something. If Western civilization's survival depends on that kind of racist bullshit, fuck it. Let it fall. It doesn't deserve to fucking stand in the first place. However, I disagree with him. I don't think the whole of Western civilization is going to fall if Israel is forced to get the fuck out of Palestine and stop bombing babies. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just a dreamer. Maybe I'm just some idealist with some wacky tree-hugging notion, but somehow I don't think Abraham Lincoln's great experiment is going to collapse if Bibi Netanyahu has to stop bombing fucking children. And with that, I thank you for your time.